Okay, people, here we are back with Napoleon against Europe, and those of you who watched the first part of the playthrough, I'm playing I was going to play the extended example of play, and in the last activation, Napoleon tried to, or attacked the Austrian army over here. Jean tried to countermarch to assist the Austrian army, which failed, but then something really, really weird happened. Napoleon lost completely. He lost 2 steps as opposed to the Austrian army only losing 1 step. Now we have to do the following. First, we have to check for a wounding of the generals, because we added Davout's combat strength to the die roll. So now we have to check if he is wounded, and I roll a 5 on a die score of 6. Alright, so basically I roll a 5, so Davout is safe. But now, what we need to do is, we need to do a demoralization test. Because the level of battle was a medium battle, so only during skirmishes do you not do a demoralization test. The morale modifiers are as follows: the tactical value of the general commanding the force, the difference in loss from the victor, including -1 per step, losses from crossing a river or mountain without a pass, combat cards. So we take Napoleon 3. He has... He lost 1 more step than the Austrians. That's 3 + 1, and the morale was 5, so that's 8. Okay, well, I don't get this. Okay. So it's 3 plus 5 is 8, -1 is 7. So they can't be demoralized because I can never roll more than a 7. Okay, the morale modifiers are as follows. I'm going to stop the recording here because I need to figure this out. Now come to the conclusion that what we're going to be doing is we're going to take Napoleon's attack value, which is 3, and the morale of the force was 5, that's 8. He had 1 more step loss than the Austrians, 2 versus 1, so that is 8 -1 is 7. On a die roll of 6, on a die roll of 1d6, I can never get more than 6, so I can't get to an 8, which I would require for a demoralization score. So the Grande Armée is not demoralized. Since it's not demoralized, there will not be a pursuit of cavalry. And now we need to retreat because the attacker came from over here, Baden, so he's now going to retreat into that. Sorry, he came from Württemberg, so he's going to move into Württemberg. So he's now retreated. Okay, so that is the end of the French activation. That didn't go so well. So what we're now going to be doing is we're going to be abandoning the extended play, because now it's completely different. First of all, we didn't manage to do the siege and complete the siege here, but also we didn't manage to win against the Austrian army, which also is completely not in line with what should have happened according to the extended sequence of play. So I'm not going to pursue this now. So now it's the French, now it's the Austrians. What they are going to be doing is they're going to be using their movement phase. So I'm going to play a... no, I don't actually need... Yes, I do, because I want to activate Mach. And for this, I need a 3. So I'm going to play a card. Yeah, I'm going to play the Admiralty card of Britain, because that is the British permanent card, which I will get back at the end of this turn. To activate Mach, he's got an activation of 3, and he's going to lay siege to Ulm, or continue his siege to Ulm. So we need to roll a d6, and I roll a 3. It's an army +1, so that's 4, plus we're on the second round, so that's another +1, so that's a 5 at this stage. And seeing as it's only a fortress and not a citadel, it is at a 5, because he doesn't have any modifiers himself. So on a 5, this means stable. So again, we're not doing anything here. Again, this is not going too well. So a dice rolling is appalling for both sides. So now we're in the second round of besieging this. So now we're going to get a +2 the next time round. And now it's over to the French again. So let's see, we're now in the 5th round, which is now bad weather. And now let's see what we're going to be doing. We really need to get rid of the Austrians. That's absolutely important. Now let's see what kind of a hand of cards we actually have. If there is anything we can use. I'm going to try the following. I am going to oh yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to move Napoleon in here again, using no card, but using the fact that he can activate on a 1 activation point, so I don't need to spend a card on this. And I'm also going to use the marching on the sound, and well, that's actually not going to help, because this one is too... Okay, yeah, yeah. We'll just try this again. We will attack Mach again. I don't think I'm going to try and countermarch Jean, because countermarching is with 1 force only. I mean, he's going to lose... I mean, first of all, being successful in a countermarch isn't so easy, and then he also has to do an attrition test, and it's now bad weather, so we're not going to do this now. What we're going to be doing is we're going to try this again. Napoleon is going to attack Mach with the Grande Armée. Mach has 1, 2, 3, 5 combat factors, and so I'm going to have to start making notes of this actually. So we have 5 in Austria. And Napoleon has 1, 3, 5, 6, 8, 10, 11. So that's a 2-to-1. Napoleon has a +3 for himself, a +2 for Davout. He also has cavalry. He has 2 cavalry steps as opposed to 1 for the Austrians. He also has a cavalry commander, so he definitely has cavalry superiority, +1. We're going to add a +1 for the lead assault unit, which is going to be the 1st Corps. So they will have to take any losses. So I'm going to take them out and separate them. So this is now the force that will take the hits, the first hit. Okay. And for the 2 to 1, he gets a +1 to his die roll. So now we're going to, and it's again, the level of battle is a medium battle, so I'm going to roll 2 dice. And this is Napoleon dice rolling. 5, 6, 9, 11, 12, 13. So Napoleon rolls 13. And Mac doesn't have any special things he can add. So for Mac, it's just basically an unadulterated die roll on 2 dice. And he rolls a 7. So at least this time round, he loses. So a 13 for Napoleon means 3 step losses for the Austrians. And a 7 means a 1 step loss for France. Okay, so that is not too bad. So first of all, the 1 step loss needs to go against this corps, because it was the elite corps that kind of spearheaded the attack. So we're going to move this back in here. The Austrians have to take 3 step losses. So I'm now going to show you the Austrian army, which is up there. So that doesn't look too good, actually. 3 step losses. Yeah, so we're going to allocate 1 to this and remove these 2 and put them into the reserve. So yeah, that now looks much more like the expected results that we would have been expecting from the Grande Armée the first time round. So now there's going to be a more demoralization check. The morale of the Austrians is 3. They lost 2 more than the French, so that's -2. And Mac has no values that he can add to the die roll. So just to be on the safe side, so on a die roll of more than 1, he will be demoralized. Let's see. He rolls a 5, so yes, he is demoralized. So first of all, they get this demoralization marker. Put it on the... so now, what's going to happen is a cavalry pursuit. The cavalry pursuit works as follows. I hate these rules. Naval matters, naval combat, victory, bloody blah, conquest. Now I'm beginning to understand why people dislike these rules. Demoralization, bloody blah, pursued by enemy cavalry. The demoralization of a defeated force is followed by a pursuit by the cavalry of the victorious force, whether or not it has steps of reserve cavalry. The victor rolls a die modified as follows. Tactical value of the general commanding the force. That's a +3. Each step of reserve cavalry, we have 2, so that's a +5. Each cavalry general +1, so we have 1, so that's 2, 5, 6. So we roll 1 die. Oops. And that's a 4, plus 5 is a 9. Any scores in excess of 6 represents the number of additional step losses inflicted on the loser. Oh god. So that is 3 more step losses for the Austrians. That's horrible. So here we have the Austrian army, 3 step losses, wipes them out completely. Because the step losses can be taken by mobile or depots as well, so we can take this one, but they only have 2 steps left. So basically we've just wiped out the entire Austrian army. All of this goes into the reserve, which is, well, now finally I'm coming into my own as Napoleon, but I didn't see that coming. So yeah, basically we don't even have to retreat. We can just remove this force entirely because it's gone. So Mack and his friend Ferdinand are going to go onto the reserves as well because they don't have anything to command at the moment. I don't even know if they're still alive. So now the army, the French army, has actually managed to win. So the siege itself is gone because this is French. Okay, so basically Napoleon is now going to, because Ulm itself is in no one's territory. Is that part of Bavaria? Yes, so it's a French ally. Okay, so basically there is no need to besiege it because Ulm is his anyway. So that in effect means that first of all, we've wiped the floor with the Austrians. Secondly, all the besieging that happened here is over now. So Napoleon has a movement allowance of 4. He just spent 1 movement point to go in there. So now he's going to spend 1 more to move into Munich. And then he's going to spend 1 more movement point to actually make this part of the French national territory again, because it was claimed by the Austrians in the previous step. So here I have to say I find this game a little bit clumsy with regard to the national territory, or well, allies, you know, national territory, whatever it's called. First of all, there are 2 types. There is allies and national territories with an N. No, it's not quite clear what the difference actually is, and yeah, I have to say that this is a little bit of a mechanic, yeah, which I'm not quite sure, because Bavaria at this stage doesn't exist. Now when I look at the frontiers here, this is actually this thick thing, so this would be Bavaria if it was ever formed, if you play a certain card later on, but apparently each of these small units can be, so apparently only this part up here is probably held by the French, these down here not. So now I've made this into a, so basically I should probably have just stayed here and turned this into a French area. I'm not quite sure. As you can see, this is a little bit problematic because it actually also doesn't even say. Now if this is an ally of France, then we don't really have to do it here, but we have to do it here, so basically we have to reclaim it from the Austrians, possibly, I don't know. Anyway, I just spent a movement point. I think later on I will just basically say, if you're the last force to move through this or move into it, then it's yours, because this whole thing of spending a movement point is just really clumsy, and it's also quite unclear sometimes, because yeah, what do these small things actually signify? And if it says Bavière and there's a French flag up here, does it just refer to these two parts and this down here isn't French? And what about this part? I have to say that I'm not very happy with how this is explained or probably even modeled. So the French have acted, so now it's the Allies, or the coalition rather, and we'll see what they do. I guess we'll activate Charles for 2, and we will we're going to use this card, Holy Empire, that's the permanent Austrian card. We're going to activate Charles, and we're going to keep besieging Mantua. So here we're at +1, because it's a second round of besieging. It's a citadel, so we're at a -1. It's an army. No, it's not an army. And he has a +1, so we are at a 0. We don't have any events that we can play, so we roll 2d6 and we roll a 10, which is really good because this means actually... Oh, sorry, you roll a 1d6, okay. Yeah, I was just surprised at that. We roll a 1, so we actually are repulsed. So we take 1 step loss. Well, that wasn't what we wanted. Okay, yeah, so he's not doing too well, Charles here. So second time he's trying to besiege this, it's not working. So we're going to get a +2 for Mantua the next time round. Which brings us to the last activation phase. It's now winter. And we should really take Vienna. So we're going to activate Napoleon. 1, 2. He's moving into Vienna with 2 movement points, and he's going to use his last 1 movement point to besiege Vienna, which is the capital of Austria. And if he manages to do this, seeing as he has wiped out the Austrian, I think in order to defeat a force, yeah, so a force is completely, a country is completely conquered if it has no undemoral, it has, its army is either not present at all or demoralized and its capital has been taken. And it is in essence, yeah, controlled by the enemy. So here the question is, what does it mean to be controlled by the enemy? Does it mean that there have to be enemy forces in all areas that are Autriche, which is a bit difficult even to define? What is Autriche? Is it just this part, or is it all of this part? In which case, that is not possible, really, for a very long time, because you would have to get everything, every single one of those, or if it just means that it's enough. Okay, France, for example, France controls during the victory phase of 1809 Vienne and has demoralized the Austrian army. Austria surrenders even though it still controls Prague. What is a key zone? Now this is interesting. A key zone... Yeah, as you can see, this is not an easy game to play when you're playing it for the first time. Okay, let's see if I can find what key zones are about. Okay, this is very simple. Key zones are zones that have this symbol here, this star. Okay, so basically Prague is a key zone up here. But since the army has been destroyed, not only is it demoralized, it's been completely wiped off the face of the earth, if I manage to take Vienna, I will still be able to win against against Austria. So Napoleon is now going to besiege Vienna. It's not a citadel, so he's at a +1 because it's an army. He has a +3 for himself, that's 4, and it's his first try, so +4, and he rolls a 3, so that's a 7, which is honors, which means we have just basically taken over Vienna, which is brilliant because it means that now Vienna is controlled by France, and we have taken over essentially Austria. Although Prague is still controlled by the Austrians, because we have not come here and we have not taken over this area by moving forces into it. That doesn't really matter. So now it is the enemy. It's now the coalition that will now have to do something, and I suppose we will try and besiege Mantua a little more. So that's again +2, 0, +1. So we roll a d6 modified by 1, so that's a 3. And that's stable. So again, at the end of this round, nothing really happens. In order for him to be activated, we played a card as well. We're going to play Holy Russia because we're going to get this back at the end of this round. So Mantua still remains where it is. Besieged, nothing happening. And this is the end actually of the 1805 turn. So now what happens is the activation phase is over, and now we come to the interphase as far as I know, and we haven't played that one before because on the very first turn, 1805, you start with the activation phase, which is basically when you move when you do the tactical movement of your forces and when you do the fighting and stuff. So let's zoom out, that we see it all. And now I'll have to consult the rules to see what we actually do here. We can now declare war. Basically, France is at war with everybody, so we're not going to declare war on anyone. But the coalition starts by declaring war. Well, they are at war with everybody at the moment, except the neutral powers. And the neutral powers, for example, are in this case Algeria, Denmark, Egypt, and also the Hanse, but more importantly, Prussia. And Turkey as well. And Turkey is going to be interesting because Turkey over here could be a really valuable ally for France, because when you get Turkey onto your side, they will start fighting everybody who's allied with the coalition. So they could actually move up here and help against the Russians. So what we're going to be what France is going to try and do is it's going to try and win Turkey as an ally. So first of all, nobody's going to declare war on anyone because everybody is at war with everybody else anyway, and you can't just go ahead and declare war on a neutral power as far as I know. So, according to the rules, the declaration of war phase works as follows. Each player, the coalition and the empire makes his declaration of war against neutral, against neutral major or minor powers, or after a forced peace period of major powers. It is not possible to declare war on a nation later in the turn, in particular during the activation phase. Now, I don't really want to declare war on anybody because I would actually like to ally with them. This goes for me, the coalition, and me, Napoleon. So now what we do is we look at the hand building. We need to fill back our hands. So let's see. Card assignment table. If I hold Paris as France, I get my France permanent card back. I hold Paris. Good. So seeing as Berlin and Königsberg are not controlled by the enemy, for either of the two sides, I will give one card for this to the coalition as well. I will give the permanent Russian and English cards to the coalition as well. They're not going to get the the Viennese card anymore because obviously they lost Vienna, so Austria is now not part of the coalition anymore. So I'm going to find this really actually not so easy. 2, 4, 6 cards. This one was the discard part, so it goes back here. Okay. Where is the Admiralty card? Oh, here we go. It's a permanent British card. Prague is held. Well, Austria isn't part of the coalition anymore. St. Petersburg, yes. So they get one card for that. So they should be getting 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I believe that I've got my hands together now. Possibly I did this wrongly, but I also have to say that I can't really be bothered either because I prefer if it was clear, you know, when you... Okay, so yeah, St. Petersburg, yes, they have St. Petersburg, so 1, 2, 3, well, not 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I'm just going to make a decision that Britain gets 6 and French, Britain gets 5 and French gets 6 cards. This sounds kind of reasonable as well, which brings us now to the diplomatic phase, to the budget phase. The players collect their resource points and expend them. It is not possible to retain resource points for later turns. This is great. So let's see how we get our resource points. Calculating resources. Each neutral at war in forced peace. When do we actually make this decision about this forced peace? Because we are in a forced peace with France. With Austria. Let's see. Oh, that would have come at the end, would it? Okay. Okay, forced peace. The defeated major power must suffer the peace conditions as follows. A forced peace is imposed on the defeated major power. I should have done that earlier, but that doesn't really make any difference now. And its unconquered minor allies. The victor receives an additional card in the next card draw or 4 resources in its budget. If France is victor, it imposes the continental blockade, whether the event has been played or not, on all the ports of the defeated major power. Well, Austria doesn't have any, so that's fine. The conquering player and its allies may annex 3 provinces of the defeated power. Okay, so that's easy. We're going to annex. So we're going to make Prague our own, Salzburg our own, and Königsgrätz our own. Very practical. Oh, you can't choose one that has a. Okay, we're gonna take this one up here. So now we need to roll a die for the duration of the forced piece. Okay, you roll 1d6. I roll a 1, so that is a 1 year forced peace. So Austria is out for 1806 and cannot do anything until 1807. The forces belonging to the defeated nation, which are in its national territory, are placed in key zones. So, this would be Jean, he moves to Prague. It would be Bellegarde, who moves to Prague as well. Charles, however, is in Mantua. So this is now interesting. He is actually in unconquered territory. So can he just stay there and then keep playing the next time round? Or what does he do actually? Or does he just stay there? Now that is strange. Well, I will actually rule that seeing as he is part of a defeated force, he can't just stay there and besiege Mantua, so he will also move to Prague. And the siege of Mantua has been lifted. Yeah. So... Okay, we're going to get 1 victory point and 1 escalade for France because simply, you know, we have conquered Austria and we have, so that's not too bad. And now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing the budget phase. And for this we're supposed to be getting resources. We get 14 resources and Britain gets 6 and Russia gets 12. Prussia gets 5, Spain gets 4, Turkey gets 4. Now what happens if they're actually neutral? Do they still get those points? I assume they do. Okay, so France is going to go first. It's going to refurbish its Grande Armée for 1, 2, 3, 4 points. So it still has 10 left. And we're going to use those 10. Let's see, we're going to rebuild those. 11, 12, 13, to bring them back to full strength. 14, we've used up all of our points. Yep. So that's that. Britain gets 6 plus 1 free fleet or 1 card per turn. We're going to draw a card and we're going to give the British 6 points, which they will be using in order to... What are we going to do? Yeah, we're going to build... We're gonna build 2 forces over here, and we have 2 points left, and we can't really do anything with that. Oh yes, we could build an army. Yeah. So let's build an army, which we're going to place here. Russia has 12 points now. And Russia's forces are really pathetic. I mean, look. Russia has something like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 16, 18 steps. Yeah. Russia really needs more forces. So yeah, we're going to add 12, 8, 6, 4. Reserve cavalry is how much? 2. Okay, so now we're going to give them a huge amount of forces, 12 steps in total, to beef up their army. And we're going to put them all, let's see, he can command 7 steps. Seeing as it's an army, he can command twice as many. He has 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So we're going to beef up this army up here to give them a lot of power, and we're also going to, he can only have 5. This one can have 7, can he? Yeah, so we're going to add this here. Okay, that's it. Prussia gets 5. It's not at war with another power. 1, 2, 4. Spain gets 4, and Turkey gets 4 as well. So Turkey is easy. Just gonna take these 2, and we're going to put them with these commanders. And we are then, so basically these 2 have been beefed up, and we are then going to look at Spain. That's getting 4 steps. Just checking Spain. They have no step losses there, so we're just going to give them 2 more. So he's going to get 2. He's actually going to get 4. I'm going to give him 4. Castaños is going to get 4. Because he can command up to 6, and he's in Madrid. So that's now it. That is the budget phase. So we will see what that is now. Budget phase is done. Now we have the diplomatic phase. The players may now attempt to ally with other major or minor powers according to the provisions of Rule 8. France and Britain do not have a status. The other nations, major powers, Prussia, Austria, Russia, and Spain, and Turkey, and minor powers must have one of the following: neutral, ally, or forced peace. Forced alliance and protectorate. So, a diplomatic action aims to move a neutral country to the player's side. The neutral major powers can only be the object of diplomatic influence during the diplomatic phase. The major powers allied to the other side, either in a forced peace or a forced alliance, are not affected. So, In each diplomatic phase, each player can make only one diplomatic action against one major power and another one against a minor power, or one diplomatic action against two minor powers. To perform a diplomatic action on a major or minor nation, one must play a card from one's hand. The activation value must be a minimum of 3 for a major power. Okay, who starts? So who has the initiative now? Who can go first? Okay, we'll just make a die roll. France goes first. France is going to try to ally with Turkey. And for this, we're going to... discard this card. And we're going to try and ally with Turkey for a +1. So I roll a die and I get a 2 + 1 is 3. And I lose. Okay, now it's Britain, and they will also try to get... they're also going to try and attract Turkey. On a 1, nothing happens, so again, Turkey stays neutral. This is actually quite tough because you need a 6. Who else is neutral and could possibly be enticed? Denmark, Egypt. I could try and ally with Prussia, being France. I'm going to try that now. Oh no, you can only do 1 major power per round. Yeah. Would it help if I attracted one of the minor powers, such as Denmark? No, Denmark is... No. Okay, I'll leave it at that, because it's not really interesting now to try and attract one of the major powers. It would have been interesting, but that's now done. So now the next round is the... we can now try and play a card. Okay, there is nothing really happening here. Let's see if the British are going to play a card. Nope. So now we have the neutral major power movement phase. Players may move any force of the neutral forced alliance or forced peace major powers, but not make forced marches. So let's look. We're not going to do that for the French. But the British are going to move they're going to move the Ottoman Empire. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So now we have the strategic redeployment phase. The players may move their units over long distances under certain conditions in the following order: Turkey, Spain, Prussia, Austria, Russia, Britain, and France. C7.6. Okay, in theory now we can move our own forces if we so wish. Do we want to move? It's a good question. Russia is definitely going to move. For a movement of 6. 1, 2, 3. Oh no, it's actually in... Russia is in Austria. They actually needed to move out of here because Austria is now French. Yeah, Russia's gonna move its forces. 1, 2, 3. This one is going to 14. No, he can't beef that up anymore. France. Is France going to move? Yeah, Marmont is going to move because we now need to see that the British are going to spill into France over there. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. The Grande Armée is going to move 1, 2, 3. Oh, he only has a movement allowance of 3, so it's going to stay here. That was 1, 2, 3 is going to move into Mantua because he's going to actually besiege Mantua. That's what Napoleon's going to do. Okay, so we will see how that works. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I think this is the end of the strategic redeployment phase, which means that we now have the activation phase of 1806. So we are in clear weather and it's the French that go first, and I will stop the video here.